welcome. It's time for another What is Japan Saying About? Today, we are once again taking a look at the player scope mod fiasco. This time, we'll be primarily looking at Twitter responses to the recent forum post by Yoshi-P, as well as the Japanese forum post regarding the mod itself. At least the post Yoshi-P post. After the Yoshi-P post responses. So as I'm sure people are aware, both in English and Japanese, and I'm sure other languages as well, the official Twitter posted out a link to a forum thread where Yoshi-P wrote out the response. It is pretty much the exact same as in English, for the record. It's the exact same as it is in English. So, to take a look at some of the responses, first we have, I'm just going to take a look here, we have Osurarai here saying, oh finally they said something. Extremely late though. Here we have Kiritan Plum pointing at the two major points, starting off with request the creator to remove the tool and pursue legal action. Those seem to be the main points, but this is a problem that needs to be handled at its roots, and yet there's no, we're looking into how to solve this issue in this. It's like, our company had its information leaked. We're pursuing legal action against the culprit. As for how we will prevent these instances in the future, no comment. I do want to point out, while I can't see the person that they are responding to here, while I can't see what the post that this person made, I do want to just bring a little attention to this little explanation here from Kiritan Plum. They said, if you follow the nope third parties tool rule to the letter, yeah, it would be against terms of service. But then things like Notes or Discord would be considered third-party tools. So in reality, it's more like this. Notes, Discord, and similar things are considered mostly white. Character cards, it's just web scraping, so a little gray. Shaders are gray even to like the naked eye, whereas things like the unofficial launcher and similar are just pure black. I think that it's a thing to note that the unofficial launcher, as I feel is relatively widespread in the West, at least, to portions of the Japanese audience is seen as pretty much just, this is absolutely a no-go. This shouldn't be around or widely propagated and the like. Which I think is a line that the English-speaking, at least, audience puts a little bit beyond that. Well, you know, what's pure black, what's pure against the terms of service, like, no matter what. I think that certain tools, including the unofficial launcher, aren't considered that negatively. Overall. And while, of course, this is just one Japanese user, I do think that the people that are against mods in Japan, I do see a lot of, like, things about FF logs, ACT, the unofficial launcher, kind of all being lumped together. I don't know if they really break down the groups into more details as the English-speaking audience does. Next, a quote retweet from Yuke of Tiamat server, pointing out that it looks like all characters and retainers under the account could be seen. If they had more than 2 retainers, you could tell that they paid for the extra retainer service. So that kind of feels a little too close to personal information. I think they made this due to the forum post about the German personal information protections. This has been an issue since the 10th of January. While I don't know the forum post that was going on about the German personal information protections going around, as I didn't see even English speakers talking about that, but maybe I just don't follow people that were sharing it. While I definitely can agree that this is a little later than it could be, I do think that this is more due to PC Gamer's article on it rather than anything else. But I'm sure they will never specify what's the exact reason they made this response. Here, though, we have a response from Sentoudo, where they're saying, oh, taking the first steps, thank goodness. If they didn't say anything, I was gonna quit. While it looks like you can still get this awful tool, I'll be keeping an eye out for the team's future actions. But for now, I'm so relieved. Personally, I want to feel this general optimism and try to maintain that personally. I think that at least me, I am in agreement with Sentodo here. I understand that not a lot of players, maybe not a lot, but some players are not, but I think that by bringing this up and making this post, that perhaps we are moving in a direction where the dev team will make a more firm, more strong action in response to all of this. But I'm sure that some people will see that as way too optimistic and way too understanding, or as if, you know, whatever other things they may say. But that is my opinion on the matter. As for a couple of forum posts, obviously, the forum post was posted at like 4 a.m. EST. No, 3 a.m. EST. So I tried to maintain the maintain only going through the posts that have been made since then. So I also tried to focus on ones that have a lot of thumbs up as well. So here we have, well, the thing is cut off. Here we go. It's a post from the user Reset. And they stated, the account ID is still being included in the data, so any packet analysis tools could still find it. So even with the tool removed, the stalking won't just stop. This has no effect on those who've already downloaded it. It was deleted from GitHub without a word from the dev team 2 weeks ago, so today's announcement comes off like, make a new tool and keep it secret. The devs themselves still release the data. The issue of the account ID being sent client-side has been going on since Dawntrail. This change in the blacklist system has allowed stalking to be even easier. Despite this being pointed out nearly immediately following Dawntrail's release, only now have the devs said or done anything about it. Please make the blacklist be handled server-side rather than client-side. That would be a massive improvement. And they have like that little aside at the end saying perhaps it was made client-side due to being a strain on the server side, or the cost is being too high on the server side. Which, I think that aside may likely be true. But, again, this is another thing where they probably won't detail it unless pushed really hard to explain it. And then the one other post, it's more the small part of another user's post by Violet here, responded to by Nagidantes. And Violet said, you know, why is this only on the forums and not shared on the far more viewed Lodestone? With Nagidantes saying, well, there's so many players who don't look at the forums. I think it'd be better to put it on the Lodestone or the launcher and maybe even pin it on Twitter. I can definitely see that being an issue. I definitely think that we will run into an issue of players just not even being aware of this. I mean, both on the English and the Japanese tweets, there were retweets and responses going, what are you talking about? Is this about FF logs? Is this about ACT? I think that there were more, obviously, on the English side that knew what was being talked about. But there were definitely some that didn't know what tool this was being talked about. This was talking about. So, I think in part they're kind of hoping, very Japanesey-ish, to be like, oh, well, you know, if we don't talk about it, then maybe not necessarily it will go away, but nobody else will think to do something like this, perhaps. But I do think one of our major issues here, and even the original post, right? Even the original post here, I think I tweeted about this, but I think the major issue here is somewhere on the chain of command is not understanding the issue that is due to more of a mindset and a way that people are viewing it. At the very least, English speakers in particular are going to see this as, if you don't do something, the reaction is more important than just the rules. And I can understand that the, you know, higher up in command, the old Japanese businessmen are going to kind of have a bit of a, you know, rules are the most important thing. You know, you should pay attention to the rules. You know, it's against the rules. Why are you doing that? And me personally, I could kind of, I think I personally have a mindset similar, but I can also understand that without the action, it's going to feel like the rules are meaningless. And that's the thing that they don't seem to be getting. That for some players and for many players, you know, if there's no reaction, then the letter of the rule isn't important. You know, it's the implied rule that's important. So they're seeing it as, well, if nothing happens, then it must be okay. And while I think they don't want to bring attention to this because it will look bad to an extent, it will look bad, and they want to save face as much as they can, I think that making a spectacle out of this, you know, banning the user and that was involved, banning any of the users that they could figure out have used this tool, perhaps, and bringing it to the forefront, you know, posting it on the lodestone in particular, that could do wonders to the community's feelings about this. Both how they feel the devs are doing on the matter, but also, you know, it could make a major difference in how mods are viewed. Because right now, because nothing is happening, we have people very blatantly using and talking about the unofficial launcher. Mare Lamentorum is in so many, you know, adventure plates on particularly Crystal. Allegan Melon being, you know, widely talked about. You know, all these tools getting code names to be thinking that they're being secretive, but they're basically not. They're basically not. I think we can at least agree that they're only seeming secretive because they're not getting penalized for it. And that's why I think that however many people in the chain of command that are stuck in that mentality of, but the rules are the most important thing, you know, rules over reaction, they need to realize that it's the other way around for a lot of players now. Not even just English speaking and Japanese speaking seems to have the similar general vibe of, this is too late, you know, please change this. There were quite a few posts saying that, you know, please change the way the blacklist tool works. This has been mentioned for a while ago, you know, and you're only now saying something because somebody actually utilized it. I understand the idea, but who would go through the information to find this? Only an absolute psychopath would do this. There's no reason for a regular player to get this information and do something with it unless they literally want to stalk somebody. Why would they do this? I understand that thought process, but unfortunately, there are players like that, and we're not gonna know who they are until they do something like this. So, not only do we need to punish them, they definitely need to be as banned as you can make them, but also they do need to do something to at least plug this hole that's been made. And while I won't assume they're not going to do anything just because they didn't say anything directly in this post, saying something directly would put a lot more players at ease than they perhaps realize. And again, I think that they're not stating things directly in hopes that other people won't be poking around and doing the same thing. But, well, the cat's out of the bag. And it's not going back in. People are gonna find out. So, they need to make changes to the game itself, and directly state it. They need to be, you know, for a company that, you know, going into ARR was trying to be very forthcoming and transparent. I think they need to be even more transparent with regards to this, because it's growing into a problem that's just gonna get worse. But, you know, once again, this is an ongoing issue, so I will try to keep an eyeball on it as more things develop. Hopefully this is not the end of the fiasco. As I said, I do think that they need to make things more of a public spectacle to ease player concerns. But, well, I'm not in control of that. I can't force them to do that. So all I can do is say that, as someone looking at both sides, I understand why they do these things, but I also think that whoever's making these decisions to not say things directly or not make these actions, maybe don't fire them, but don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. Listen to somebody who's saying, no, you need to be more transparent with them. That was what got so many people to stick around for 1.0 into 2.0. You need to do it again. You need to remember how important that transparency is. And apply it here. That's my advice. Anyway, that's all I have for today. If you'd like to see more, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And I also live stream on both YouTube and Twitch every day except Monday. I do a variety of content, from Ultimates to Criterion to fishing, mahjong, bunch of other things. And I also play a bunch of other games on occasion. And with that, I will see you next time. Oyasumimi! Bye bye!